Hey there, Yogi. In this video, I'm going to go over the equipment that you could have that you may want for this program. I want you to know that there's plenty of at-home options. So once you have the information on what we may use, then you can kind of figure out what do you want to purchase and what can you supplement with things that you have around your house. So the first thing is a yoga mat. Now, I want you to know that this is optional along with everything else. You actually don't need a yoga mat to do yoga. It's just something that we all, have been taught to believe. For me, when I'm at my at-home practice, there's plenty of times when I prefer a carpet over a yoga mat. If I try to put my yoga mat on the carpet, sometimes it bunches up and it moves around and it's really just a distraction. You don't need it. It's just a thing that you can have, especially if you go to a studio, you probably want one. But if you're just at home, you don't actually need a yoga mat. It's amazing, right? But you don't. To get started, if you do want a yoga mat and you don't have one and you're looking to purchase one, there's a huge range of options. Honestly, for me, I go to either my local Target or around here, TJ Maxx has yoga mats for like $5 to $8. It's an easy way to get started and just build into your practice without a big investment. Once you get in your practice and you maybe decide that yoga is like for you and it's something you're really, really passionate about, then you can invest in a more expensive mat. From there, I would say there's like a $50 to $70 range. There's a couple of different yoga brands that I've purchased in the past that I do really like. And now, I'm 15 years into my practice. Now I have a $100+ mat, but that took a long time. So I just want to be aware, like, you don't need to start out with this expensive equipment. Really get to kind of decide what's going to work for you. For me, the thing I like about my more expensive mat now is that it's heavier and it's a little denser, but it's not too thick and it's nice and sticky. So if you find that you're slipping a lot with the mat that you have, you can choose to get a different thing, and I'm always happy to provide recommendations, so you can just email us and I'll give you the whole list of things. So yoga mat, helpful, not required. So the second thing is yoga blocks. This is a yoga block. Now, not all yoga blocks are created equal, so I think it's important to understand kind of like what you're looking for if you do not have yoga blocks and you would like to acquire some yoga blocks. I would say in the list of things, if you're going to invest, it makes more sense to go for a yoga block investment than it does even for a yoga mat. I will use blocks on my carpet or on my floor in my house, but I do need them, and it's not something you can really supplement with anything else in your house. People might tell you you can. You really can't. Like, these are a different kind of material. There's not really something that's at home accessible that will support your body in the same way. So this set of blocks was $20 and it came with a strap. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them on any yoga supply center. We sell them in our studio. We tend to be a little picky about the material that you're looking for. And so I like something that is, and I think this is really important. You can get yoga blocks that are pretty squishy. That's not going to be good for your joints, for your hands, for using blocks in general. I'm not sure why they're made, because they just are like an injury waiting to happen. This block, you can see, is a 4-inch block. So they come in different sizes. This is a 4x8, I think. And the 4x8 is, you can see the thickness here. That's good thickness. And we'll use it in all different dimensions. Sometimes flat like this, sometimes raised to the medium, and sometimes raised to the tall height. When you're sourcing a block, you want to look for a high density block. Now, some high density blocks are as hard as a table. Like, there's actually blocks you can get made out of bamboo, solid bamboo core wood. So you can get some really, really hard, firm blocks, and that's really helpful for people who have maybe too much joint mobility in their wrists and hands, because that's what we'll be using the blocks for. If you're looking for a high density block, I really like this particular one that I again just happened upon because I tried a few different brands and really found the one that I liked. Also, I just liked the color, which is a factor to consider. I do think that there is some subconscious thing that brings me back to my practice when I like the equipment that I have. So just keep in mind, if it's a $5 difference, just get the one that you really like and the one that's going to get you excited about practicing. That's 15 years of yoga experience right there talking. So this, if I press on it, there's no give whatsoever. If I press on it this way, there's no real movement happening. Like, I can press my fingers into it you might see like the tiniest like indentation, but there's really nothing happening. There are some blocks where you can do that same pressing and you get a lot of give. That is a block you do not want. Right? You want a block that is not giving you a lot of movement when you squeeze it as hard as you can. If you're in a store and you're looking at them, you can just poke it. This one I poke, and like there's just nothing that, there's nothing to see, but there may be, like, if I look at it closely, there might be like a couple of indentations, but nothing really. Like I can't get my finger into the block. See that? See, there we go. Can't really get my finger into the block. Whereas some you can really press in, and also you get a little bit of give there. So that's it. If you like press your knuckle in, you might get a little bit of give, but this is just telling me this is get a little softness to it, and I do want that. For me, the super firm blocks are kind of hard on my body. So you want 2 blocks, and I think it's really important to have 2. Don't just get the one. This is something like, out of all the equipment I'm going to tell you, this is the one where you spend the money, and this is the one where you're super picky and you really get what you want. Blocks will make the difference between you building a strong foundation in your practice and potentially getting injured. So blocks to me are something that it took me some time to really come to appreciate, but I can't say enough about how much they will shift and change your practice and also help you on your mat. So get some blocks if you don't have them, and make sure that you love them. And again, if you need advice or feedback on which ones we like, feel free to email us, and I'm happy to pass that to you. So the next thing that you may want is a yoga strap. Yoga straps come, I want to say 6 feet, 8 feet, or 10 feet. This is another thing where, again, it's not really important for it to be perfect, but if you're going to invest, these are like $5. So it's worth it to get, again, the one that you want and the one that's going to help you. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So again, as I've already mentioned in my preference for blocks, I have a thing about colors. I really liked the color of this. It came with my blocks. It happens to match Be the Love colors, so clearly I was going to get these straps. I don't love these straps. I actually don't think they're very functionally good, but they do the job, and again, color was more important as a factor when I was purchasing this. At home, I have a thicker one. So if you see this is the thin one that came with my blocks. It's really thin. When I put my fingers in it, you can see it's bowing a lot. So like you can stretch it, I think, more than, I don't know if you can really see that, but you can stretch it a lot. It has a lot of give to it. And for a strap, you don't want a lot of give, just like with the blocks. You want your equipment to provide firmness and support. So when you're looking for a strap, you want to find thickness and a good width, like this is a little thin. And you also want one that's going to be long enough for you. So if you're a very tall person, like if you are over 6 feet tall, you really do need at least probably a 10-foot strap. For us smaller people, you can do a 6 or 8 foot strap. I'd say 8 is pretty standard for most people. Most of the shapes in which you're going to really use a longer strap are kind of really specific to different lineages of yoga. We don't do a lot of stuff with strap where you need it to be something that's holding and supporting your body a lot. To me, this is kind of an extra, but it does offer some really delightful ways in which to stretch your legs and open up your hips. And so for that reason alone, it also does help you with your arms and shoulders as you start to advance your practice, start to build more range of motion in your shoulders and in your heart space. So whether you're in the beginning of your yoga journey or you're in this place of advancing, having the strap is a very, very helpful and supportive tool. And I have to say, when you do the leg stretches in this series, you will understand the power and the beauty of a strap. That being said, if you don't have a strap or you aren't looking to invest in a strap at this time, just a regular pants belt will be a great alternative. There's times, again, when I have this one and I end up using a belt instead because it just has more firmness and nice thickness to it. Other alternatives, I mean, you could use, like if you have stretch bands at home, I think Pilates uses different bands, Barre might use different bands that you could probably use, but you don't want it to be stretchy. I think the stretchiness in yoga, as we're doing, poses that require, and I'll explain more of this in the series, but in poses, when we're in yoga, we're not just like openly stretching, we're engaging muscles and then lengthening and stretching the engaged muscles. And so when we're doing that, you do want something that's going to give you a lot of support, right? You don't want something that's going to just allow your body to just, stretch as far as you can, just open up. That will lead to injury. We don't want that. So we want to engage the muscles and then lengthen and open. And for that reason, I say get a nice strong strap. Again, there's also ones that are a little too thick and a little too strong. So you find your medium. This is like the grandma's porridge of the three little bears, right? Or Goldilocks and the three bears. It is just like a little too loose, a little too soft. And then there's like the Papa Bear one that is like a little too thick, a little too strong. And so finding one in the middle, that's just right for you will do a lot to help you in your practice. And if you can, get one that's pretty, that you like, that's going to serve you. So again, you can enjoy your equipment, which yoga requires very little. So why not get the things that light you up? So the last piece of equipment is the yoga blanket. So these are also called Mexican blankets because they are often made in Mexico. That's not just because of the prints, it's because that's typically where they're made. I was lucky enough to find solid color, which is pretty rare. Usually they come in some big prints, but I tend to be kind of a plain neutrals person. So the yoga blanket, let me see if I can find the thickness here. It is not like a couch blanket. It's not really soft. It's not meant to be soothing for your body. It's a little rough. You can see the thickness here. Not too thick, but like it doesn't squish a lot. So when you fold up this blanket, it stays in a shape. And I think that's the important thing to understand. It stays in a shape. When we do our practices together, a lot of times I will be talking to you about which fold we use. And you can see that unlike a typical couch blanket, when you fold it, you see the thickness that comes here. This is one fold. And then if I were to fold it again, look how much thicker it would be. And so if I were to squeeze this, you see there's just not a lot of give. Whereas with a regular couch blanket, which I love, my hand would be consumed by the blanket, right? It have a lot of give. So you want something that is going to stay pretty thick and supportive so that when we are using it to support the knees or to support the hips, you have a lot of lift up. I like to have two. Again, these are more like a $20 range investment, so you kind of figure out what you want, and by all means, like, let the perfect blanket come. If you're like these, sometimes if you're trying to find the right color, can be $40 to $60. So, but you might need to like purchase a couple and figure out which one you like before really deciding. Over time, as you wash it, these will soften a bit, but they will remain pretty strong and stable. Again, I typically have two. You can start with one. If you don't have one and you're not looking to purchase right now, then I would say a regular bath towel will get you like solidly 70% of the way there. A beach towel, especially like those thicker ones, might be a really great alternative. And again, you want two, right? Two blankets, two ways in which to support your body, because you may find that sometimes you're not getting enough height with the one. They're really, really delightful for the end of practice, like when you put them on your body and they have a little bit of weight to them, and they can kind of hang you down. So again, I would probably say beach towel over bath towel, but you use what you got as much as you can. And so that's all the equipment you may need for this program. Again, none of it is required. All of it is optional. But again, I would say if you're going to invest in one thing only, it would be the blocks. Again, I would almost put the strap ahead of the mat. Like, that's where I'm at with a mat. Like, we think that the mat is like the everything, but blocks and a strap will get you a lot farther. And then, use what you've got at home for your blanket / towels. And then lastly, get a yoga mat that's going to serve you. Find the equipment that is going to really be something that you enjoy experiencing with, and that helps to bring joy to the experience of showing up on the mat, and the rest will come much easier. It seems silly, but it really isn't. It's all part of just building in this nourishment and care that we give when we're on our mats, and that is really important as part of beginning especially in this program, in this practice. So good luck in your search, dear yogi.